Welcome to the next Limcore episode. Today we have three amazing guys from Microsoft, Kevin also from Cluster Reply. Guys, what are we going to talk about?
Autonomous systems.
We talk about Azure PaaS services in the cloud.
Azure on the move.
Innovation.
Edge capabilities.
New business scenarios.
Advantages of robotics.
Liberating Azure from the data center.
Yeah, and there will be an interesting use case. We have a crazy idea how to teleoperate the spot with the drone. Stay tuned. You are listening to Limcore's podcast, pushing the limits of innovation and productivity in business and daily life. Welcome everybody in our next podcast episode. Today we have amazing guests with me. We have three people from Microsoft, Arpit, Markus, and Stefan, me and Kevin from Cluster Reply. Before I say too much about every person, I think it will be great if every one of you could introduce very shortly to the audience what are you doing at Microsoft right now? And then at the end, we'll close the round with Kevin, that everyone knows from the audience who are they listening to. Stefan, would you like to start?
Yeah, thanks, Margaret, for the invitation. Yeah, I'm Stefan Leininger. I'm with Microsoft, and I'm account delivery executive, working mainly for the Volkswagen Group. And yeah, we had the pleasure to do this spot thing together. Markus, do you want to proceed?
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. So my name is Markus. I'm solution architect from Microsoft, and I work with Arpit.
Yeah, so I'm in the same team as Markus. So I'm a AI architect working in the strategy and innovation team, working with first of a kind innovative technology, and happy to be here.
I will just continue. I'm Kevin. I'm working on the hardware part and also on the robotics and AI topics in Cluster Reply side, and I'm happy to have all these amazing guests here.
I will close the round. Guys, you're listening to my podcast. You probably should know me, MVP in data platform and thematically data, AI, and robotics. And today we are going to talk about Spot from Boston Dynamics, also about other robots and the solutions we can build together with Microsoft and push IoT solutions in the cloud, in the IoT cloud, to bring AI on the move. Yeah, and I think let us start from that point. Some of you have already seen our video on Galileo, where we showcased our use case. There are also other videos, fully videos of our use case. The videos are pretty short, are roughly 60 seconds or 3 minutes, depending on the source. And now we have this opportunity to speak more about our solution in deep. Stefan, before we deep dive into technical part, can you summarize what is our solution about? What we are doing with the Spot or other robots in the Azure?
Well, the idea with the use case we showed was really to show something that is touchable. And this idea arrived together with Kai-Uwe Ernst in last September. I think we sit together and Kai-Uwe said, hey, I have this cool device, this Boston Dynamics Spot device. And let's think about what we can do together. And we anyway had such algorithm for damage detection. And we also applied this in a specific car scenario. And we said, hey, why not combining this together? And then the idea was born for this use case. And this is really just a representation what we can do when we combining this robotic device, especially the AMRs, with our AI technology. And I think this really opens up a very broad a field of applications we can realize, and we can really also go with this on places where we never could go with our AI technology, and really build new business cases and really add value in complete new dimensions. So this was really fascinating for me, and that's why I said, hey, we have to do that together with Cluster Reply, as you have really the deep knowledge of integrating these things. Huh?
And not forget Boston Dynamics in this.
Yeah, Markus, you were actually the guy in our video who was explaining the use case and what the application is doing, what the Spot is doing. Can you explain here again for the audience, for those who haven't seen the video, maybe?
Yeah, I can. The idea was that the Spot is looking for a car With the number plate, he can identify that's the right car, and then do an inspection round about the car and identify if there are some damages on this car. Yeah, and this typically autonomous. So the idea behind is to bring an autonomous device with the cloud together and have some Azure ML, some machine learning algorithm behind cognitive services for connecting to the data and find out what is on the car, and to provide to the user at the end a statement what was damaged. What is the price of the damage? Yeah, to repair it, and also for the fleet owner to get an understanding what is going on the fleets. Yeah, so what are the typical damages on the car? Maybe the rims on the right side of the car, something like this. Yeah, these are typically in this environment. This was the idea behind, from the technical stuff. And Arpit did the AI stuff on it, so maybe you can explain a little bit on it.
All right. So thanks a lot. So the whole AI capabilities, essentially what Markus already mentioned, is that what we did is training, or like doing the AI in two folds. So the first part is essentially detecting the car itself. So as you can understand, in the parking lot there are multiple cars standing. So when Spot or Boston Dynamics Spot is going over the parking lot, the first thing is to determine which car it needs to inspect at the first. So for this, what we have done is we trained a model which can look into number plates and detect the number plates by autonomously, and we deployed that machine learning model on the edge so that inference is done locally. And once the whole inspection is done, then the second part is in which the car is detected. Then the Spot goes around the car, create a video stream, which is then filtered into image frames and then forwarded to Azure cloud with via IoT hub, and then it's going over multiple PaaS services in Azure using to the storage area, the blob storage. Then from there, it's handled by Azure function, which is triggering a cognitive custom vision service to detect if there are already damages. So we trained a model with the image data to detect damages in the car, and based on this, it's detecting the thing, then understanding and writing it back to a database, which is then creating another trigger for the reporting. So as you can see, the whole inspection part is fully automated end to end on the cloud. So from image until it's visible into Power BI dashboard or can be sent to the end user, and the whole piece, the inspection part is done on the edge.
Yeah, thank you, Arpit. I think this is really an important point also from a business perspective. We really wanted to show an end-to-end scenario that is fully automated. So in this case, we can apply this, for instance, for rental cars or also leasing return scenarios, where we really can, in a very short period in time, end-to-end fully automated, and also with additional customer value, because the customer also gets his a report in a very short manner, and he can also interact with this, and he can say, okay, I accept these damages, and he also knows already about the cost. So this is really done in an end-to-end process, fully automatic, and in a very short manner of time. So I think this is really the core business value behind that. Yeah?
And we did this with the Azure PaaS services, so it was very quick to implement because we didn't care about how to invent an IoT connection, something like this. We use the IoT hub. We have the edge component of IoT hub running on the robot for aggregation of data, something like this is for controlling. And then we use the Power Apps to implement very quick an application for the operator to work on the dashboard behind and so on. So this was all done in a very short time, because of this predefined and pre-developed environment we could use here.
Yeah, I was, me personally, as MVP and Microsoft geek, always since I was born, almost maybe not born, but pretty early. I'm really impressed about how the Azure is evolving and how good you can use building blocks and build as a puzzle a ready solution. That's what makes really Azure really great. But Markus, can you give a couple examples? What are services and platforms available in the Azure which helps you to deploy AI, IoT solutions in the cloud?
Yes, of course. So first, we use the Azure DevOps for planning and developing the code we needed and for infrastructure as a service. Then we use the IoT Hub with the IoT Edge component, for the communication to the robot. Then, of course, some services for blob storage, databases, and so on to store the data. We had this Azure ML services. Maybe Arpit will say something later to this. We used the Power platform of Microsoft for Power Apps, so to build an application for the operator and for the user as well. We had this Power BI dashboard for getting really drilled insights of the data behind. And I think this was the most important stuff we used. And then, of course, we have cognitive and Azure ML, but there's Arpit the expert for.
Arpit, what you can do with Azure ML and,
so
and cognitive services?
So if you look from the machine learning portfolio, where Microsoft is going is twofold. One is going towards a citizen development, where we have pre-packaged AI, cognitive services, the vision service, the speech to text, text to speech. So all those AI capabilities, which is low code or no code implementation. At the same time, what we are also doing for the expert users is Azure Machine Learning Service, in which we provide notebooks in the cloud, development environment where you can actually create your own custom machine learning models. And we tried both the implementation in this case, and we said, okay, at least for the first step of the implementation of this POC or MVP together, the custom vision service and the whole prepackaged AI, which is already good enough for doing inference for both the edge case and as well as in the cloud. So we started with both, but we chose based on the performance and the quality of the model, vision model, which comes with prepackaged with custom vision. We went with the PaaS services, which is available out of the box then for implementing the AI aspects of it.
Kevin, do you remember regarding the solution itself and what Stefan mentioned, where it could be used and what it could be implemented? Stefan mentioned the rental car companies is definitely a use case for them. But do you remember the moderator from the German television, from ProSieben, from Galileo, asked us a question? Hey guys, but what is actually a difference? Why do you use robot for such a use case? What is the benefit that we are using a robot like a Spot or any other mobile robot for such scenario? What do you think?
I mean, first of all, there are often many options to realize such use cases where you have an autonomous or a device where you collect data, either IoT sensors or drones or even a working student or something like that. But with all these possibilities, you always have a drawback. For example, the drones, you have either tethered drones that don't have the power restraint, but have then a restraint where they can fly. And then, of course, you have also the regulation aspects that you aren't allowed to operate a drone if you don't see the drone. And you don't have these regulations, for example, with the robots. Then going to IoT devices, if you are a large plant, you will have to apply a very high amount of these devices, and so that might be also not economically use or wouldn't make economically on an economic side sense. So you would actually use something mobile. And in the end, what the advantage of Spot in regard to a human is Spot can enter not safe areas. So either if it's something some high level of toxic or high toxic levels in an area, or for example also areas where we have extreme temperatures and so on. But the biggest advantage of this mobile robot systems is that they are just reliable. They will execute the same maneuver every day over years, and if you have a person, the person will get tired if he inspects the same thing the 100th time. And so therefore, if you have an automation in this scope, we can actually take this robotic work from the human away and give him actually something that has a higher value and is more productive.
Yeah, Stefan, do you remember when we are meeting each other and recording the use case video in Munich in our replay office? We're also discussing about other customers who, for example, they have existing infrastructures, a small building, some small garage, like a drive-through where the cars are coming through. There are high-speed cameras there. They are making the digital twin of the car, right? However, what we realized is that, well, it's cool. It can also work with the Azure services. However, building such a garage is firstly really highly upfront cost, and the second, it is static. It cannot move. You have to build it once, and it's there. And about mobile robots, what I think is a huge advantage is, well, you can pack it to your garage, to your car itself, and repack wherever you want to build your new station, your new like a fleet management, which is not static, is dynamic of your cars, and then make the inspection of the car anytime and anywhere. I think that was the biggest benefit of using robots, Stefan, right?
Absolutely. We actually tried something like this, that we really have a fixed station for such a damage detection scenario. And the most difficult thing was really there to build the hardware to really get the light in a proper manner, so that it's really working, fully automated, and then you have to run through it very slowly. So there were many challenges where you can tackle with the AMRs, because they can then really go there and have the right distance, and also can add additional light if required. And also what Kevin said, it doesn't necessarily be a spot. You can also build a specific device that is even more adapted to the specific use case, so that this is then even easier to be done. And at the end of the day, this is then also a good business case, because if you build such a custom device, it might maybe cost 20K. And this covers everything, and is very specific then to this special use case. And it also enriches the quality of the use case.
Yeah, and maybe additionally, you will find that the cars or the business behind will be changed, that rental cars will go more to ride cars, zip cars, I think is the name in the US, to this. Yeah, so there is not really an owner. So there's a company owning the car, but not the people. And the cars are distributed about the city. Yeah, and you need to find the cars and inspect the car to identify if there are some scratches or damages or whatever on it. You can do this, and of course you can use other robots as well at the end. Yeah, so maybe it's a discussion of what are the complete profile for this at the end. But there will come new services, I think, and this makes absolutely sense. Yeah, so we are thinking about street inspection, something like this, yeah, to identify if there are some damages on the street and so on. Yeah, so maybe this could also be a use case for this.
Yeah, this is really a broad field, and we can really apply this on many areas. We can also use this for detecting environmental damages, or use it in disaster scenarios. So there's really a very broad field of scenario where we can use this, and this is also the really charming aspect. And you maybe can also use drones for with this technology to count animals and birds where you difficultly usually can approach them, or you can do this underwater, because you don't necessarily need a direct internet connection, because you can all these things also apply on the edge. So the application variance is really great, and this is really what is a real game changer, because with this technology, we are able to bring our AI technology on every place on the planet, and maybe even outside the planet if required, and apply it then, you know?
When Elon Musk make his job, exactly. But hey, guys, this is
the Inca and the guys, but for instance, so we can apply that.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. But what I really like about thinking scenarios and use cases, Stefan, what you mentioned exactly, is actually combining multiple solutions. Combining, for example, drone with the robot. The drone can be fast and check the whole aerial, right? Stefan, you were talking also in the video about use cases about checking the number of trees in forest, for example. It can be checked firstly by the drone, just as an overview, and then when it's needed, the spot can go closer. Or I really like your example in the subways stations. Can you elaborate about this? What was the idea behind this?
Yeah, usually you have to check the subway tubes on a regular manner. So every night, several guys are walking through the dark tube channels, actually, And you can also fully automate this, that you then have the drones or a device like Spot that is checking the condition of the current tubes. And the real cool thing is what Markus has mentioned is that we can do this in a very short period of time. As said, for this use case, we had 8 weeks. And most of this time we actually used to come over some challenges from the device, which is natural because this was actually a device, a better device, if you say so. So that's why it's usual that you have to come over some aspects. I think the AI part, I think we have done this in 3 weeks and not more, and with a very small team. So this is really a very charming aspect because there are also predefined models we can use, so that we can really very fast come over. But maybe Markus can also say something about this specific aspect where we can use existing building blocks.
Yeah, but I think one important point in this is always operational costs. Yeah, and I think if you talk about, or if we go back to the discussion about rental car, something like this. So they are all struggling with operational costs, and you need to reduce these operational costs. Of course, at the moment, Spot is very expensive. Yeah, so you have to invest 100K, 150K, something like this. Yeah, which is a huge number. But what we can expect from the Technik is that the Technik over the time will be less expensive. Yeah, so this, and then with having maybe better batteries on it. You are able to run a fleet of spots, doing, or others as well, doing some analyzing stuff, like we discussed before in the different use cases. And I think every of this use case is very, very good, to see what you can reach with this technologies at the end, with the combination of cloud and autonomous system running, on the streets, maybe on plants, on in tubes, whatever you like to do. Yeah. So I think this is important for the future. Yeah.
But I guess Stefan and Markus also touched this point, and I would not really discount this part. So this power of Azure to provide citizen developers with the skills and toolset, so that they don't have to really reinvent the wheel once again and use the prepackaged solution. So just to give a perspective, of course, we took like approximately 2 weeks to implement the whole backend. And I can tell you this whole end-to-end flow from image until it's into databases, it's doing custom vision, the model training. If you look into line of code, it's below 500 lines of code. So if you see that actually we have used a lot of services or the implementation, which is then going towards our push towards citizen development, that we don't have to be the geekest person to know how data science is done and how machine learning models are built. What we have done is we have used as much as, or reused as much as, IP created from this different PaaS services, stitched them together with configurations, and try to minimize the actual custom implementation you have to do to implement the end-to-end solution. And as I said, it took, if we don't have this PaaS services, then we can already thinking about a long multi-months project to implement all of those things from scratch, and then machine learning models, and then the whole data pipelines and things like that. The beauty which comes with the whole PaaS services from Azure is that we have these things already ready to like off-the-shelf products available. All you need to do is deploy them in the environment, configure them properly to contact to each other, and then the actual custom implementation to just create this interaction is only a few hundred lines of code, which can be done in weeks if you have and this 2 weeks already is I would say is not full-time implementation. That was what I did in part-time capacity.
Yeah, and also you have these predefined models we used, which makes it also easier to implement it. And we are working on some kind of reference architecture for the future. And what we not have implemented in this case at the moment is really feedback loop. I think you mentioned this, Arpit, that over the time the robot will learn more and more, the algorithm will be better and better, and you can always push back the new algorithm to the robot that he is in the next phase better to recognize whatever you want to recognize. Say it in an easy way. So I think this is what you typically will do in a real operational phase. Yeah, this was more like okay, we want to show how it works, how it generally works, and of course you need to go a little bit deeper if you want to have it in a production phase. Then you need to make this loop complete. I would say.
But still, all you have said now, Arpit and Markus, is also directly related to the operational cost. Huh? So
absolutely.
The algorithms also evolve, and you might also change certain aspects. And this can also be done very easy with what we have shown in our use case. And I'm also with you, Markus, that Spot for such a specific use case wouldn't be the first choice, because I think it is a little bit oversized. With the movement capabilities, you actually don't need this in such a scenario. So a much easier robot, which is not that complex, would also do the job. For instance, in such a scenario, it would be fine if it is on wheels, and then you can also use such a device. And as I said, you can get this for really little money. And also the maintenance cost for such a robot, I think, is very low. We also, Marek, calculated one use case where we have a complex inspection scenario in a hazard environment. And we came up that it is 10 to 15% of the cost you have in the old scenario you can achieve with the robot. So you only have to 10% of the total cost, which is really a big move, actually.
Yeah, I think this is important. Sorry, Marek. So it's there is this technical aspect of the showcase, and we got a really good feedback from everybody who saw the video. Yeah, so they like the idea behind, they like the robots, the technology, the use case, and the other is you need to have this business view on it. Yeah, what makes sense at the end, what you can implement, what is the return of investment, to say it in an easy way, and I think both sides you can you can discuss at the moment. Yeah, so maybe not in this constellation, but you can have the discussion and go in the right direction and start the evaluation of the technology for this. Yeah, so sorry, Marek.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. And regarding this return on investment business case, exactly, Stefan, what you said as well. Regarding this calculation, so and the price of robots, because indeed there are different robots. Some of them cost 10, 20K. Spot is more pricey because of other features he provides, right? But I know different customers who look different on this area. They see, okay, what will happen if, for example, my power plant goes down?
Yeah.
Is it then Spot really expensive? No, not really. Many customers are usually also seeing this hardware as, when you lease a car, right, which costs 50, 80K for a company, right? It is also a cost which you can put in accounting for, 3 years, for example. And then suddenly the company car cost is not as high as you initially think. And the same thing can happen with the robot. And regarding the use case, Stefan, you mentioned and without the danger areas, exactly. This is an example we are as a reply working with another company where imagine you have a very dangerous area, toxic area, where the inspection must be done in a regular manner. But for this inspection purposes, you don't need only one engineer, but a bit more. And because of danger environment, you also have paramedics on site. And this, of course, increases the cost because many people at the same time to organize, coordinate this generates cost. And having a Spot, you don't have to do such inspections on a monthly basis because of the cost. You can make them much more regularly, so increase the security, and at the same time with the same costs because every next inspection doesn't cost you more, right?
Yeah,
that was the cool part.
I mean, especially Spot is useful for all POC-related activities because he can perform a superset of what most other robots can do. And so therefore, in the end, you will look at each use case after the POC and check out, okay, is Spot the right tool or not? If not, you'll find maybe a wheeled robot, maybe a drone or anything else. But Spot will most likely be able to perform all the actions that other robots can perform as well.
I hope not the drone action, but yes, other action it can. Other we'll have a flying spot.
Flying spot, that will be cool. Yeah, or the drone is picking the spots and transporting it to the next place. That would be cool. Let us talk with Alan.
It could be an add-on. You put a quadrocopter on it, and instead of the LiDAR, and then go ahead.
Yeah, I like the idea, guys. I really love to talk with intelligent people all the time.
But you mentioned the LiDAR, which I think is a good thing. So before we discussed a lot of video, photos, and so on, but maybe for some cases, some more modern sensors like LiDAR are very interesting to use. We tried to use it in this use case. I think it was not really helpful for the use case, but overall, I think the technology to have different sensors on the device, can make really sense for analyzing something. Our first idea was to use the LiDAR to better understand the distance between the spot and the car, to identify how big is the scratch, to get some more objective data, say it in this way. Maybe this was not possible at the moment, but I think it's a good idea always to think about new other sensors you can implement. Maybe this helps in some special use cases.
Absolutely.
In this case, it was not successful, but maybe in another one.
So not in the case of inspection per se, in which we do video inspection, but use of LiDAR is also for environment planning as well. So to figure out where the cars are on a high level, so that we can create a high level plan. And also, as we are talking about generic use cases, we talked already about inspection in dangerous hazardous areas. There are places in which they want to also do security check-in as well. And for example, if you talked about toxic area, maybe a nuclear power plant, there are people as of now who have to go into a radioactive shield, and do security inspection of those areas on a daily basis, because it's a dangerous area that if somebody enters that part, it could be dangerous for the security of the country. Of course, for these type of use cases, if you have a LiDAR, all you just need is if you can understand a foreign object in the environment or not. And in this case, we actually do not really require actual video inspection, just a LiDAR signal figuring out, okay, I see a human or a object which was not there. Generally, we can just simply use a LiDAR technology to do that.
And this is exactly the benefit of robots, because you can put exactly this thing. You can put so much IoT sensors as you wish, and you collect so much more data at the same time as, for example, a human with just visual camera would do, right? And this is the great benefit. Kevin, we are just about to close our episode shortly. There's one more topic I want to discuss at the end. However, there are many people asking us, "Hey, mobile robots, there's a new era. But why there's a new era? Because we know that there were robots already since a couple of years on the market. We've known AGVs, and now it's AMR. Well, there's still three letters. Does it make a difference?"
So yeah, you may know AGVs from like manufacturing plants at BMW, at Volkswagen, Audi, or whatever big company is manufacturing or has a large production line, where you see lines in the ground that are there for navigating the robot. So basically, these robots can only drive on the predefined course where you have to modify your infrastructure. And so robots like Spot, you don't have that anymore. They are able to navigate freely in environment and more autonomously. So they are able to reach spaces that other robots were not able to reach. And this is a high or a huge development in that area. And it makes basically every robotics use case now possible. Of course, the price for these systems is a bit higher than for the others, but I guess you don't have the entire infrastructure topics you have to pay for as well. So, but I think with time, these systems will get more and more common, and I think the amount will explode during the next couple of years.
Yeah. Okay, and closing topic, guys. German market innovation. How do you perceive it today?
Yeah, well, my final statement on this would be I really want to encourage our audience to think about their own use cases, and not only in an industrial environment, but you can apply this in every area. For instance, also to support people with disabilities, or that you can use this to preserve cultural heritage. So, yeah, I think there are many things out there we don't even think about, and we should really encourage our audience to think about these kind of things, and that we can jointly do things together with them that are really new, and that are not possible without this combination of AI and AMR.
Yeah, I would say we showed that this is possible in a short time frame with a limited amount of budget, to implement something, to understand the technology, the benefits of the technology, maybe the what is not possible with the technology. Yeah, of course, this is normal. So you can do it. You can start with this, and then you can identify, is this the right way? And if not, then you can stop. But if it's the right way, then you can go further with these technologies. And I think this is something you can start small. I think this is important. Yeah, you need not to think about the big project with all the AI stuff behind, with big trainings and so on. You can start with a small project, can test the technology, get some confidence of the technology, and then identify, is it the right thing for your problem to solve or not? And I think this is important. And here is, I repeat, this is helpful to have this big Azure cloud behind, because it was really easy to implement. And I like the wording we had, Azure on Move. So having some Azure capabilities running in the cloud, I think this is really a very cool sentence. And absolutely something Microsoft is thinking about. Going more in the edge is important for us, because you have not always the chance to bring the data center or the data from the data center to your problem. Sometimes you need to have the device near the problem, and this could be a good fit for this.
Mm-hmm. Arpit, how do you perceive the innovation in Germany? Are we really innovative in Germany?
I would say that actually we are going towards so I can see some positive changes, which is I would say really encouraging also in the industry, and also the whole disruption which happened due to COVID pandemic also is also like a huge, I would say, push towards more innovation and more out of the box thinking, if you will, the way we work right now. Because now when people have to sit at their home, people are thinking about, okay, how we can automate our process, how we can automate these manual inspections which we are doing by humans right now, so that we can keep our workforce safe. And this is I would say is a positive outcome or consequence of COVID pandemic, which or corona COVID pandemic which happened, I would say. So I see a big change, and also the mindset of the senior management is changing towards use of technology or innovation in the industry. And I would say maybe we should again, like when we talk about robots and all, the general people say, oh, the robots is going to take the word. I guess we should also have to bring down a hype, because I know for the fact when we implemented Spot, that how advanced it is to actually take down the humanity as of now. So I guess there is a lot of sci-fi stuff going around in the media, which can also be hyped down a bit, because we know where we are right now. And this is where we say, okay, the responsible, the ethical use of AI and how we are going to develop our future algorithm becomes more and more crucial. And Microsoft as an organization is like really investing a lot in towards also responsibility and the ethics in the AI. So we are for sure, of course, like looking into this technology very clearly and very peculiarly about what is being used and how it is being used, so that we don't end up creating the sci-fi world for the reality. But again, I would say as of now, we are very far from that. Please embrace the technology. It's evil because the people are evil, and it's good if the people are good.
Yeah.
Very good
Cool.
statement,
Kevin?
Good. Absolutely.
Kevin, how would you close the discussion?
I mean, innovation in Germany, it's getting there. It's, I think, getting better. You are hearing how more and more companies are investing in Germany. We have all this Tesla investment. Now Apple is investing. Bosch is creating new I think, Silicon Valleys in Germany, basically, and so on. So I'm quite positive that it will be an amazing journey in the next few years.
Yeah. Cool.
So
guys,
be part of it, huh? So this is to encourage everybody out there being part of it and making the best out of it, and also go there with an agile and positive mindset to make it happen. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what drives me crazy. Indeed, that's you are able with the technology today's do something for the society, to the world. That's your children, grandchildren can say, "Oh, my grandpapa done this." And this is actually what is most exciting for me myself, working in the IT industry. And I'm really happy to have such great people like you to work together. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll do it again, a new exciting project, and make another review in the podcast or a blog post or a video session. So don't forget to follow us, and hear you next time.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Marek, for the invitation.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Stay tuned.
You are listening to Limcourse podcast, pushing the limits of innovation and productivity in business and daily life.